thank you for joining us, Manisha ma'am. You're a former Olympian. You've been an inspiration to many tennis players, and it's lovely to have you with us today.
Thanks. It's great to be here, Taruka. Thank you for having me.
Well, before I move on to questions regarding yourself, I would just first like to ask you, where exactly are you? Because, I know you're at a squash venue. If you can tell us more about it.
Well, I'm at the iconic Bombay Gymkhana, which is hosting the JSW Indian Open, which is the first copper event in India. It's a beautiful, beautiful setting right in the middle of the front lawn with Bombay Gym, which is a 150-year-old club as a backdrop. So it's a very iconic kind of situation. And today we're getting ready for our semifinals. We have two Indians in the semifinals. We have Anahat Singh and Abhay Singh both playing today. So it's an exciting day here.
Squash is really picked up, and especially now that it's being included in the LA 2028, obviously the fanfare around it has increased massively. Was that the vision of yours, and was that aligning with how the organizers, that is JSW, wanted it to be, to align with India's representation in 2028 Olympics? Therefore, this tournament was held here, was brought to India.
Well, I mean, we've always been aligned to squash. JSW has been supporting squash now for 31 years, and Parth himself is a very avid squash player. So that has been, I mean, there is some sort of a personal connection to squash. But of course, being added into the Olympics changes the dynamics of everything. And now there's a much bigger push into squash and a much bigger kind of investment into the game of squash. So we're trying to bring events into India. We're trying to get our athletes ready for bigger stages, and what better way to start them kind of preparing them on home soil. And that's what we're trying to do here. Indian athletes have always struggled with bigger events, and we find that, oh, we always turn around and say, oh, we don't have the mentality for it. But that's not it. It's part of training. Our athletes need to be seasoned competitors. And I think the lack of competition and the lack of circuits in India has affected this generation of sporting talent, and we're trying to address that.
What has been the response so far in terms of crowd coming and cheering for our athletes, and in general the footfall around the tournament?
Well, I mean, I think it's streaming on Squash TV and on Fan Code and a couple of other platforms. And I think that they've got decent viewership for squash, but we have to continue to grow. The stands here are, of course, full. I mean, Bombay Gym is a very old squash club. So there's a big connect to squash in this vicinity of Bombay, with CCI, Bombay Gym, Willingdon all being very, very close by. So there are a lot of, basically from the squash fraternity itself, a lot of people are coming here, and it's been a wonderful turnout per se, and it looks good. And we have to start pushing the game and pushing our athletes now, not the year before the Olympics. We're trying to take a very long view where this becomes a yearly outing and is on the calendar from very early on.
And talking about the tournament itself, we saw some very attractive glass cases. The courts, they looked really good, and it looked like entertainment and sport both combined. So how did you guys come up with that idea?
No, but that is one of the things with squash. That's the wonderful thing about the sport, is that they've tried to take it out of the box-like buildings and into the public spaces. And they devised this glass court few years ago. I don't know the exact date, but this is what now worldwide people are doing. One of the most famous tournaments happens in Grand Central Station, where they set up something very similar to this. And we need more such tournaments where our kids can kind of take the sport to the masses and take the sport to people, where every average person can also kind of understand the sport and watch the sport.
Absolutely. I've previously spoken with Deepika Palekar, Saurabh Ghoshal, Anahat herself. All the athletes have been very vocal about squash being an expensive sport. It is not, and you need specific courts, and which is not available pan India. Do you think this is changing now, and more kids are taking up to squash, and the entire ecosystem is changing and evolving for the better?
I don't think so. I mean, I think squash will always have, it won't be a mass connect sport. I think that's not what its USP is. It will always have that some sort of kind of, you know, bracket where it will always be an urban centric, infrastructure centric sport. And that's just how it is. And certain sports have that kind of connect, and you have to kind of work with the demographic that you're dealt with. And that's a very good demographic within in the Indian space per se. So if you talk about, like, middle class India, it's a huge demographic to deal with. And we just have to understand that infrastructure in schools and colleges and parks can be made to facilitate that. So the challenges for squash are a little bit different than other sports. I mean, it's not a wrestling or a boxing or one of those athletics per se. It'll be always be a little bit different and needs to be tackled uniquely.
Definitely. My last question to you, Manisha ma'am, is more focused on yourself, being women in sports and taking up such leadership space within the sporting ecosystem. How great it has been, and do you think more and more women are occupying these spaces which were mostly reserved for the male counterparts?
Well, I think that's a discussion in itself per se. I mean, I have very strong feelings towards this. I've said it several times. I do believe that there is not enough women, and even today there's not enough women. I am very, very blessed to be able to kind of do what I love and work in a space that I love. But we need to have a concerted effort of grooming women to have a voice, grooming women to have an opinion, and grooming women with the expertise to administer sport. And that starts from when they are athletes and then has to be done forward. So we're still not anywhere close to where we need to be on that, but we are improving. There are several more women than when I started off. So I'll keep plugging that space and I'll keep working towards that. And it's my aim and goal to see, we need to have at least an equal number, if nothing else. And I don't think a quota system is the answer. I think that it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. It needs to be on competence, and we can definitely groom our women to be just as competent as anyone, man or not.
Just to follow up on that question, many athletes, including someone, an Olympian like you, and many of the other female athletes I've spoken with who've, won medals at the Olympics, Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, after the sporting career is over, they find themselves a little bit lost. Either it is like government jobs for them or they're opening their own academies, but not all women go towards the sports business side of the things. So what will be your advice to such athletes?
Well, I think that's changing. I think that this dynamic, I mean, obviously, this government job scenario is one of the things that actually hurting sport rather than helping it, and it's a much larger discussion that needs to be had. But from an entrepreneurial mindset, I think this generation is coming along. It's a very different. They tick very differently. The Gen Z thought process is very different than what mine would be or anyone else would be. So it'll be interesting to see in which areas they would gravitate. But either way, business side of sport, development side of sport, an academy side of sport, the coaching side of sport, the ancillaries of sport, whether they're physiotherapists and doctors or even sports tech with different kind of facilities and things like that, ops side of sport needs to be groomed. And I think that this generation has will understand that it's a passion, and anybody who can work in sport can only survive if they are passionate about sport. If they're not passionate about sport, it's torture. Let me be honest with you. The emotional quotient needed is off the charts, and we need to be able to empower them young and allow them to be free enough to think, make mistakes, grow at an early age. So I'm hoping and I'm very optimistic, but I don't know which way the chips will fall with the present generation.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us,
My
Manisha ma'am,
pleasure.
and good luck for the tournament. Good luck for the tournament.